Parlez-vous français? Or können Sie Deutsch sprechen? If you're trying to get your tongue around languages for primary MFL, here on Resource Review we're evaluating 3 resources that could help you. They are a series of authentic French books featuring an endearing dog.
Et voici Uki. Alors, qui est Uki?
Pants.
A CD and songbook for learning German.
Kannst du es sehen, wo ist es denn, Leon, das Chamäleon? Weißt du denn?
And a Spanish book featuring animals and opposites. Will our panel think that these are muy bien? We'll find out here in a moment on Resource Review. Recommending today's resources is Judy Hawker, Primary Languages Specialist Teacher, Brighton and Hove, and French teacher at Whistledown Primary School in Brighton. On the panel today we have Nicola Cottier, Head Teacher of St Matthew's Church of England Primary School in central London, and also Adam Cook, Advisor for MFL at Norfolk County Council. Well, thank you all very much for coming. Great to have you on the show. Judy, let's begin with these rather lovely looking books here. Introduce this resource to us and tell us why you like it.
This is a set of 4 books about a little dog called Uki. What I particularly like about this series of books is the fact that Uki is an extremely entertaining little dog, and you can use it in a whole class context quite easily if you have children sat around on a carpet. It also lends itself to the development of a theme very much with the character, and great fun for the children guessing what's coming on the next page. You can do this book over and over and over again with them and they will love it.
Now this is authentically French, isn't it? So often books are translations.
Yes. This is what makes it extra special, I think.
Well, thank you very much. Before we find out what the panel think, we went along to Wimbledon Chase First School in London, where teacher Anne Moran introduced Uki to her Year 2s.
Voici un livre. Alors, répétez, un livre.
Today I was using Le Striptease de Uki with a Year 2 class. The Uki series covers colours, days of the week, seasons of the year, and this one was clothing, and in fact a striptease. I chose that one because I think within that there was language I knew my class were going to be familiar with, and also I wanted to introduce clothing to them, so it's a very fun way of introducing clothing by having somebody taking theirs off, and they enjoyed that a lot.
Et voici Uki. Alors, qui est Uki?
Pants.
Firstly, I showed the children the book. We then practiced our numbers 1 to 10. We counted up to 10 and then back down again. And then once they were feeling quite familiar with that, we then had a look at what Uki was doing on each page. And then we would double back and we'd try and remember what he'd been taking off for each number.
Numéro 1, j'enlève mon chapeau. Numéro 2, j'enlève mon... Excellent, très bien fait, mon manteau.
I think the pupils really enjoyed looking at the book. I think they enjoyed the humour, particularly as Uki ends up naked at the end. And I think they're all looking forward to getting to number 10 to see what was going to happen to Uki.
C'est numéro 10. J'enlève mon slip.
For me, they've managed to do something fairly complicated. They've taken away new vocabulary and a whole new sentence, and they've used it and manipulated it really well. I think the fact that the book isn't a square book is quite nice for them. It's quite intriguing, and the colours are very bright and vivid. I would invest in it for my school, definitely. I think there's a great deal of scope. I've used the colour book with much younger children, and I do like them. My only thing would be I would request that they come with a doll, so that particularly for the younger children, you can have that kind of puppet element as well, and sort of the children can manipulate the language sort of physically as well as orally.
Well, Judy, Uki really seemed to go down really well in the classroom. But one thing I felt, it's nice to have a shaped book. But when Anne was displaying it to the class, the text is quite small. It's a bit limited, isn't it?
Well, what I would do is, and taking up the book that she was actually using,
Ah, yes.
I would be quite happy to sort of to put this up, scan it and use it up on the whiteboard.
Well, what does the panel think? Nicola?
I think with little children, I'm talking even with foundation stage, it would be a great resource to have so that just as they're learning their colours in English, they've got that as a resource. It's very clear, it's very bold. I would use it as a sort of supplementary resource, therefore, for teaching language generally, and that, yes, and we can also look at it in using other languages, rather than specifically, aha, now we are learning a different foreign language. So I think I might use it in a slightly different way.
Right, OK. Adam?
I mean, I agree with all the positive points made so far. I have a slight reservation in the sense that, as Judy said, you might have to scan the pictures in, you might have to make a little doll or something like that, and people just don't have the time to do that. And this is an issue, actually, with books that have come from France, or have come from Germany, have come from Spain, native books, you could say, that you then have to probably develop the resource a bit.
OK, well, I liked it.
Oh, it's lovely, yeah.
Well, now let's move on to Judy's second choice resource. This time it's for German, and it's called Sing and Learn German, a CD and songbook. That's what you get. Just explain a bit more about this resource.
I was really, really pleased to see this resource come out because it's been in French for some time, something similar called Un, deux, trois soleil, which now they've also developed and are now calling Singing and Learning. I like it particularly because there's a whole series of songs which can be very well adapted for work, extracurricular work. They make excellent basis for drama presentations, for doing an assembly presentation. And to help the non-specialist, there are translations into English. I think the tunes are very, very catchy. And there's a whole sort of series, you know, you've got salsa, you've got all sorts of pop, jazz, rap, Latino, and the children certainly enjoy very much dancing and jigging. And at the same time, they're really taking in the language.
Well, let's see Sing and Learn German in action in the classroom. We went along to St Peter's Church of England Primary School in South East London, and teacher Jasmine Mayer was using it with her class.
Today we're going to sing another song in German. We're going to look at this CD. It's called Sing and Learn German, and we're going to learn about the colours. The song I chose today was called Leon das Chamäleon, and I chose it because it featured colours, and we've just started looking at colours.
Welche Farbe ist die Maus? Grau, super. Die Maus ist grau. Welche Farbe?
Then I played the song for them, so they could get used to the melody and to the words. And then we started practicing the song by also looking at the words which I typed up and put up on the board.
Kannst du es sehen, wo ist es denn, Leon, das Chamäleon? Weißt du denn, wo es ist?
I introduced movements to go with the different words they were introduced to, because I find that when the children move around, they find it easier to remember. I did type up the words for the song because it's quite wordy. It is quite difficult for the children to remember. And even going over the song a few times today, the children were still struggling and found it quite hard.
Leon, das Chamäleon. Weißt du denn, wo es ist? Leon, das Chamäleon. Kannst du es sehen, wo es ist?
I think the children will find it easier to remember colours when we go over them again. And also the children had to form full sentences with the colours, which is something we hadn't done before, so that was quite an improvement. It's probably a good resource to use with children who are more familiar with the language already. I wouldn't use it with a beginner's class straight away, I don't think. But I think it is good value.
Well, Judy, Jasmine, the teacher, had to put quite a lot of work in herself to really get the most out of this resource, making up her own actions, typing up the lyrics for the whiteboard. Does that really imply that this is a limited resource?
I think perhaps if you put it like that, when you've just got it within this book and the CD and you've got flashcards, that yes, you can say that you need to do quite a lot to develop it yourself. But I think the development, the rewards of that, and you might do an assembly at the end of it or some sort of display which reflects what you've been learning. I think the work in sort of exploiting the song, words, etc. would be well worth it. Once you've done it once, you've got it forevermore.
True, true. Adam, what do you think? I mean, is this something that the non-specialist teacher has a hope of really getting the most out of?
Being optimistic, yes. I think the point with teaching song or using song is it's something that you build up over time. You know, when we listen to a piece of pop music for the first time, we don't know the words. It's the beat that maybe engages us. And I think with songs with these smaller children, in fact, with any of us, it's about hearing it over time. It's adding new bits into it over time, gradually, doing it regularly, and then the kids become familiar with it and they want to sing it. So I think you can, but again, I think, you know, it might take a bit of working with non-specialist teachers, seeing how they can really milk the resource for what it's worth, you know, for what it can offer.
I think being realistic as opposed to optimistic.
Being realistic.
For a teacher who was not a German specialist, the flashcards, great. The song, great, fun. But as far as developing it, I really think that's a bit of a bridge too far. So in that sense, I would be a little more hesitant about recommending it.
Well, moving swiftly on, Judy's third choice of resource is a book for Spanish. It's called Animales y Contrarios, and it's right here at the front of the table. Judy, talk us through this book.
What really I liked about it was that where you can find lots and lots of books about opposites, this one concentrates specifically on one vocabulary theme, which is animals, whereas most opposites books would be a variety of different types of vocabulary, and I like that particularly about it. I also like the idea of being able to have the adjectives and the adverbs move across to describe the animals.
Right.
I think it's an excellent start for a theme of work, which might be very cross-curricular.
OK, well, Nicola, do you think a teacher is going to get all of that from just buying this book?
I think it's going to be used not for a whole class resource. It's hugely fun to actually move the bits across. So the children aren't going to want to sit and see the teacher doing it. They're going to want to get hands-on. And in that sense, I think it's great because it's such fun. I feel that that would be a real use for it. Maybe children in pairs, maybe for extension work, something like that. And then I think it would really pay off.
OK. Adam?
Well, I agree with the point that it has this sort of link to literacy and developing pupils' literacy there with the adjectives and the adverbs. And also the other point is, you know, the different cognates in there, because a lot of animals, particularly exotic animals, resemble English words, like elefante. You know, so it's that kids can say, oh my goodness, I can see this word, I can recognise it straight away, I know what it is, and nobody's taught me it, I've taught myself that.
OK, well, I'm afraid that's all we've got time for today. But to recap, the three resources that we looked at were the Uki books from Edition Castamin, the Sing and Learn German CD and Songbook from ABC Melody in Australia, and finally, Animales y Contrarios from Random House Mondadori in Spain and supplied in the UK by Grant & Cutler. For more information about all of the resources we've talked about today, go to our website. It's teachers.tv/resource review. Or if you want to, email us, resourcereview@teachers.tv. Very big thank you to our panel, to Judy, to Nicola and to Adam. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time on Resource Review. Bye-bye.